Hello, hello. It's Josh from the supporters section, and we are thrilled to welcome two guests for a very special episode from the York United supporters groups. We have Karls and Namu from the Northern Corridor. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, yo, thanks for the invite, Josh. Love it, man.
We're so stoked to have you guys on. So, just to get things started, how have you sort of gotten involved with the club? Like, how did the origins of your roles in the supporters group start?
I'll probably want to hand that off to Namu to begin with, since he was more entrenched earlier than me. So,
You know what? Because I'm old. Oh, that's why, bro. You tell me old, man. But you know what? I'll take it. You know what? I was involved with TFC supporter culture like from 2014 onwards, and we went through the MLS Cup days and all that, right? But I was always in support of a CPL. So I used to talk about the CPL even on the forums back in the day. So right now, we have the Reddits and the Discords and all that, right? But we also had this forum back in the day called the Voyagers.org. So that's the forum for the Canadian national team supporters, right? And we talk about CPL, like the need for it all the time. How like we didn't have a league, we only had like the three MLS teams and the two teams in USL. Bro, like just having more teams in Canada, that's what we wanted to see, right? And I knew that if there was ever going to be a league for CPL and there was ever going to be a team in the GTA, I was going to be all over that. So when they announced it in 2017, 2018, man, yeah, me and the guys are all over it. We had created some Facebook groups. We're on Twitter, we're on the forums and all that. We got the guys together. We do meetups at different pubs, bars. There was meetups in downtown. There's meetups in Vaughan, etc. And that's how we kind of organically came to be, man. That's what it was.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
and then from my side, it was just sort of blissfully naive coming to supporter culture and things like this. So in 2019, when the first season occurred, a really good friend of mine who still comes by often, lives in Ottawa now, but is part of the supporter group, um, said, "Hey, I've got free tickets from my music school that they gave me to go on the bus and go to Hamilton and watch the inaugural match of the Canadian Premier League." We're like, "Hey, a professional sports team in York Region? That was pretty cool." Because at the time I was living up in Richmond Hill in York Region, right in the Northern Corridor, the namesake of our supporter group. And I just thought that was really, really cool. And there's nothing like it. And as I've kind of grown with my with the club and with my support for the club, I've and also moved into the city proper. I've come to appreciate it as sort of a alternative soccer team in Toronto. It's if you don't want to support TFC, if you don't like some of the people there, stuff like that, you can always find a home over here at York United. And I always love the idea of an underdog. The local underdog is definitely where I want to be and who I want to support. So that's I was just those free tickets, and then started watching and just fell in love. And the reason I became a part of the supporter group specifically was I I had no prior history with supporter groups or being a soccer ultra or anything like this. Didn't know much about that, but I had an idea that if an opposing team gets their schedule, like, they see who they're playing this week, and they go, "Ah, shit, it's York United away again. I've done my job." If other teams don't want to come to our stadium because they don't like being berated by the supporter section and things like this, then we've done our job. I later found out that that's kind of the idea of what an ultra does. Didn't know that at the time, but it serendipitously brought me into the group and worked out well from there. So
And
that's
like
how I
we know
started
that
with it.
we know that Carl's got a loud voice from his all his choir practice and all that. So when he
Mhm.
chirps the keepers, the opposing keepers, they hear it for sure, man. You know what I mean? So he does a great job of making sure the keepers there something's in their head all 90 minutes.
Oh, he
Yeah,
did a
as long
great
as I'm
job
in their
yesterday.
heads. Thank you.
I was
And
worried.
I mean, no, I was, as you heard, I was speaking with Elijah after the game, and it's either you're with us or you're against us. And Nathan Ingham was, of course, one of our star boy keepers. He was one of ours until he left, at which point I have absolutely no sympathy for him anymore. And just spent a good 45 minutes losing my voice.
But
But
it's back
it's
now. No, you put in the hard hours yesterday, and you're pulling through. You were the much needed energy,
cheers.
much needed energy support.
Cheers.
Brilliant,
Thank you.
leading it well, leading it well. You talk about York Region, and Namu was sort of
Mm,
talking to me a little bit earlier off air about sort of what this club has meant for you, being from York Region and stuff like that. Now
mhm,
it is sort of branded as Toronto's club, but what does it
mhm.
mean to have a club that represents York Region?
So I'll say that it's a just this sense of localness. It's proximity. When you're living in like Oak Ridges or Newmarket or Aurora or even Richmond Hill, it's an hour to get down to the lakefront by car during rush hour, by train, either way. It's a slog to get out there. That's not a local team if I'm traveling an hour to get there. So just like the idea that it was nearby, it was just for York region. And of course, like I say, now I live in Toronto and I can appreciate the branding and the identity as not just a York region team, but the alternative Toronto team and the hipster club, you could think of it perhaps, the non-mainstream, right?
Yeah.
I really appreciate that because yeah, some people don't want to just go and sit with suits in the lower bowl of BMO Field and be in a sterile environment. They like the local feeling, the connectedness that you get, the openness with front office, with players. No other club where you have a player who's on a suspension come into our supporter section with us. Well, I shouldn't say no other club. Um, Toronto FC doesn't do this, where a player will come into the supporter section. I get to teach him how to light a smoke bomb, or they'll be there waving flags and chanting with us, and perhaps saying things that might get them in trouble, but they weren't actually there.
Yeah, I mean, like you asked earlier, like why we're in the supporter, like how we got into support culture, man. I mean, the reason is because it's fun, bro. It's fun to like like light smokes. It's fun to like yell. It's fun to like sing. It's fun to insult the other players, man. It's fun to just like have some beers with the boys. That's why we're in the supporter section, man. Like before maybe like 15, 20 years ago, sure, like we unless you were like unless your dad or your brother or your cousin like showed you the support culture and you didn't know about it, then yeah, sure, you'd be kind of just sitting in the stands, just kind of like watching, like you'd watch like the Raptors or the Leafs or the Jays, just kind of sit there politely and do the simple chants, right? But I just remember like I don't know, like different games, whether it's the Canadian national team games, or whether it's at TFC, or I also grew up in I also lived a few years in Ottawa, right? And I saw the auto support culture booming there as well. And just to see all the guys having fun, man. And it's kind of like when you watch the Prem on TV and they're having a lot of fun on TV, like with the chance, right? I was like, yo, we can do that shit too, right? So that's why we're in the supporter section because it's fun. Plus, we get to like yeah, just do cool shit, man. That's what it is.
And there's a special connection when you get to do cool shit for a team that also has your back. I was speaking with a bunch of fan first people who are also in the stand with the Fan First Network, and they were talking about supporting local. Why do you got to support local? The Inter Miami game just happened recently. You see Miami kits everywhere, everywhere. And they're talking about, well, why aren't you wearing the kit of your local club? I take that one step further and take the small local club because when you're supporting local, I said, when you support local, local supports you back. York United doesn't BS when they say they're doing local charity work. They're working with the communities to actually be part of them. It's not so much as just a branding and get our logo on things. They're actually participating in queer organization fundraising, in food bank food deliveries and things like this. Like this is substantive help for the community that comes from supporting the local team that's nearest to you.
That's
So that's why it's sort of important to have that local team, that team for where you're from, for where you're from.
100%. What it's I love the soccer club more than anything. So also what I wanted to ask is it's not been the easiest time these last two seasons for York United, right? That we had to switch over from
Sure.
ownership. It looked pretty glum in the stands last season. And it
Yeah.
has been a wonderful turnaround. But how has this whole process sort of felt for you folks as supporters, like coming from the team just being sold mid-season, where the family that was owning the club just basically handed the keys and said the league, this is the league's problem now,
Well, you know
and to
what?
now the new owners, yeah.
Being a York United fan is actually like a bit of a, you gotta have some existential crisis to become a York United fan, bro. We're like, if you look at our group chat, it's constant like pessimism, and we're gonna, like this just gonna fall next year, bro. You gotta have a little bit of that mentality to really like be able to stick it, because like we got fans from Ottawa and Hamilton and all throughout the country like chirping us about like whatever, all that shit. And we're like, bro, like if you can just kind of admit that to yourself, then it makes it a lot easier to support the club. So that's how we do it, man. But the thing is, for me, I like to say that we enjoy it while it's here. I think that's really important for us to keep in mind as Canadian soccer fans, because we've seen leagues and clubs come and go over the years. You know what I mean? Like we've seen the CSL, the original CSL back in the 90s. We saw that fold. Well, I didn't see it, but I heard about it. I read it on Wikipedia. We see, like we see clubs in Edmonton, we see clubs in Ottawa, they get folded, whatever, that kind of stuff too, right? But for me, what that tells us is when it's there, when the owners have taken an initiative to put that club in front of us, it's important for us to take that initiative back and to do what we can at the time. You know what I mean? Seize that moment, because you never know what's gonna happen 2 3 years from now. So that's how we take it, bro. We take it like literally week by week at a time, and we don't say, hey, maybe like next year we'll do something like that, but we just say fucking do it right now. That's what we say, man. Carl, what
I
else you
mean,
got?
I could tell you that as recently as probably last week, before we were we were just waiting on other results to go our way to clinch a playoff spot, and we're still in the group chat worrying about, hey, what if we drop down into fifth? Maybe Pacific can still catch up to us if we lose every single game for the rest of the year, because that could still maybe happen, because we're all remembering those times in 2022 when we would score 4 goals in as many months and not win a single game, and then had the worst of the possible worst. um you know well, I couldn't say worst of the possible worst, but we also didn't have owners, and at the end of last year there were serious like reckonings that maybe there won't be a club for a long time. We were under the impression that this is going to be our last chance to just enjoy it,
Yeah,
until
that's right.
rumblings came about ownership and things like that. But yeah, it's those tough times where they leave their mark in how we still support and how deeply we support nowadays. So
Look, we know who we are, and we treat it like it's like last season, like every time, bro. Then if you do it like that, bro, you can have a good time doing that. You know what I mean? Like this is my last time partying with the boys at YLS, something like that. You know what I mean? So it's yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
No,
man.
that energy is certainly palpable in the stands. That's just it. You leave it all out there. You leave it all out there
That's
in the
right.
stands, and that's what
Yeah,
they want.
there's
That's
nothing left
exactly
to
it.
give when you want
That's
to
right.
give everything. So
Yeah, man.
So I know we've talked a little bit, Carlos, as well about some of the maybe interactions that you've had with the new ownership and stuff. Like, how much has the new owners coming in meant to this club, and what does that look like for you in terms of building that relationship between the supporters group and the club?
yeah, okay. So I at the start of the year, for our fan magazine, The Crust, I got a wonderful opportunity from the club to interview Ricardo Pascal and kind of do a, hey, welcome to the club. And one of the tones that I took in that piece that I wanted to get across was this sense of hope, of reigniting hope, because we had such a lack of hope. There was so little to want to cheer for and to be excited about for this club. We were losing, our coaches and playing our players well. We don't got any owners, all sorts of problems behind the scenes with not having owners. And it was a hopeless time. And to have the owners come in with the sort of enthusiasm that they did, and the energy and the drive, desire, all these words I can say, was a genuine igniting moment. It was a moment of, yes, there is something there. There is still going to be something there that I can cheer for, that I want to be there for and be a part of as well. And the openness and like the teamwork we've had with the front office since the start of the year, in terms of drums, in terms of smokes and things like this, is no, we haven't had that before as a group. They have been very good at, we have direct lines Ricardo. We have direct lines to Owen, who runs the media and the VP of communications and stuff like that, right? It's they mean it when they say it's our club. They will walk up to me at fan events and ask, "Hey, how are you doing? How have you felt at the stadium? What's been going on? Are you happy?" And all these things, and they'll listen to that and take it in. And I complained about food prices and drink prices. What do you know? They made food prices and drink prices cheaper at the next game. So it's an active relationship that is producing a lot of cool things like interviews about hope and cheaper food.
I'll put it this way. So, like the Balderrasas, they've been the owner since 2018, right? And I was part of the different supporter groups that we had back in 2018 and 2019 for York 9. And I'll tell you, like, I don't think I ever once met the Balderrasas during the 4 or 5 years that they owned the club. So what we did was we did see a lot of Angus McNabb. He was a very big open book, and we did appreciate him quite a bit for that. He did support us very well. He was supportive of everything that we did and such. But we never met the owners, right? Whereas the Pascals, the three brothers, we see them in the stands pretty much any match that we want to. We can chat with them almost anytime we want to. Those guys are our age. Like, well, I'm a bit older, right? So he's around my age as well. So it makes it easier for me to just kind of like vibe with him and just talk to him like just talking soccer with a regular fan. Because he, like Ricardo does feel like he's just a cool, chill soccer fan that just happens to be super rich and came and bought this club and all that. You know what I mean? But that's the vibe that he gives, that he's just like another dude, right? And yeah, they help us out, like Carl said, they help us out. Like, we used to spend hundreds of dollars on smoke bombs. So every smokes that you guys see, we used to buy that ourselves one by one, and those things cost $15 each, right? So we're spending like almost $100 per game as a group. The new ownership group has been supported for that kind of stuff, man, and we really appreciate that. So it's been really great, man. Yeah.
That's incredible. No, it's wonderful.
Yeah, man.
Reflecting a little bit back, you had mentioned on the supporting the club since their very beginning as York 9 and throughout the years there. So now, what have been like some of your favorite memories being a supporter for this club? I've heard a couple of stories. I've heard a couple of stories. So,
oh, you've heard a couple of stories?
I brought this out because of the pod, and there's this photo here. This is a photo of Tristan Henry eating shit after he got scored on by an absolute screamer from Brem Sumaro, and then I got Brem to autograph it to boot. So that was one of the coolest things, being able to get Brem to autograph this photo of Tristan Henry eating shit and getting scored on to lose in a derby at home. It was an away day for us. Tristan lost at home. And that was that was really cool. I kept bugging like whichever player would come out to the south end to meet with us. I'd be like, "Hey, can you get Brem out so I can get him to sign a thing for me?" And then by the end of the year, he finally came out and he said, "Wait a second, is this from the goal?" Yeah. And so that was one of the cool ones. That was from last year. I can let Namu take the next.
Bro, we gave Brem the play of the year for last year, right? So that guy's like forever club legend for that fucking sick goal. And like he was like a Conte like in the midfield, right? That dude like just could tackle anybody, right? We had Carl, you're saying earlier, we had Jose Martinez in the stands with us earlier this season when he was suspended. Bro, we just saw him on the concourse and it's like, yo, bro, it's Jose. Like nobody else was talking to him. He's like a starting midfielder for us, right? And so, bro, I just went up to him. I was like, bro, like the Section 800 is right there. All the supporters are here. You can come down anytime you like and just like have some good time with us. And I didn't think he would, but yeah, he came down at halftime and we showed him a good time, right? Then I remember Nico joined us in the supporter stands last year when in that metal stands, right? And the dude had smokes. The dude had his bandana. He had his fucking scarf on. Dude was like a ultra, like ready to be born, bro. You know what I mean? Straight from Greece. Right? You know what I mean? Like those PAOK or those like Greek ultras don't play, right? So those are the good times from the recent years, man. York 9 days, 2019 Gen 9. Bro, I love the Gen 9 boys. And we still have some of the bit of the Gen 9 influence in our group as well, too. Those guys like lived and breathed the club, and I really appreciated them for that. I remember during the pandemic, they were the first group that I remember giving out like getting masks made and like selling them to people. Like they were the first group that I saw doing that, among anybody that I saw. They were just kind of like they were supporting the that new hospital in Vaughan, the Cotalucci Hospital. So they had like a fundraisers for them too, right? So I really respected what they did, right? They had some great chants. They had the trumpet guy, if you guys remember him. Yeah, that's like a York Nine legend for sure. The game that I remember the most was the Canadian Championship match at home versus Montreal. So, to see the impact in front of about 4 or 5 thousand fans at YLS, and we tied them 2-2 at home. That to me was the moment that I said, yo, the CPL is a real concept. And it's like right in front of us. Um, we're all fucking hyped after the when we went up 2-1. We're like, holy shit, we might take down Montreal at home, right? And I think a bunch of us just scaled the advertisement boards, and we are celebrating with the players right in the pitch, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. So that was good times for sure, man.
And I can add one more a front office story or a staff story, which is I think goes to show the cordialness and just how small these clubs are, and how tightly knit the things are. So in 2021, when I started coming back a lot more often to the supporter section, I would get my drum checked by Cody, who was the head of security back then. Shout out to Cody if he's listening. And I would get my drum checked, and I'd, wait, hey, how we doing? Yep, yep, all good. I can bring it in. Everything's good. And so for one of the 905 Derby days that year, when we were at home, I decided, hey, I'm in Dollarama buying like streamers and stuff to chuck around the stands. Let's get some vuvuzelas. And if they don't want to let us bring them in, then so be it. Let them throw it out, get it off my hands. I don't care. They're $1.50. And so I get there, I'm holding my drum, and I pull out some vuvuzelas. I'm like, hey, how about these? And he said, I can't let you bring those in. Okay. Hand it to him. Just pitch them. Alrighty, have a good day. Watch the game, whatever. A couple weeks later, it's playoff time, and we're playing Forge away. And so we get a good contingent of us to go to Tim Hortons Field. And I showed up a little bit late. It was like right kickoff when it happened. And as I come into the stands, I hear a vuvuzela, and I look over, and I saw Cody standing in the supporter section with us with the vuvuzelas that I tried to bring to the 905 Derby at YLS, and he just kept them and brought them to Tim Hortons Field. So just interactions like that are filling, they're soul filling, they're heartwarming, and then goes to show just how tightly knit a community around York United is.
Hamilton away is always an important day for sure, man. We had the whole the
Oh,
chalk paint
jeez.
incident this year. One thing I did, we had the playoff away match, 2021, I would say, probably 2021, one of those years. Hamilton away for the playoffs, right? I think we sink some smokes in, whatever, same shit as usual. And then but they're like no smokes in the away section, right? We're like okay, whatever, right? And then we see the battalion kick off. They're all going crazy with the orange smokes and shit. And I was like, fuck these guys, it can't be just those guys with the orange smoke, right? So I open up my pants, got my green smokes. Then I start busting them out, and it's like green smoke everywhere. And all these like police officers started coming into the section, right? And they're like, yo, who did it, right? I was like, fuck it, was me, right? I just went up with them, right? And I was like, okay, went up with them, right? And I was like, oh my God, Namu's in trouble, right? So I'm telling the police, right? I'm just like, oh, yo, I'm just, I just drove here like an hour, just having a good time. It's just a soccer game, just chilling, I'm a polite guy, right? I'm just very friendly. I was like, yo, that's all the smokes I had. We're cool, right? And they're like, yo, you seem like a nice guy. Yo, just don't do that again. And whatever, you can go back. And yo, that's it. The police are like, yo, go ahead and move. So yeah, I got to enjoy the match without getting kicked out in the first 2 minutes. So I'm happy about that.
Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, man.
I love
Yeah,
it.
man. Can't let the Forge have all the fun.
No, of course not. No, guys,
Yeah,
it,
man.
it truly has been such a pleasure. I guess before we go, just how can other people in the community get more involved with the supporters group?
Come on down. Come to a game. The supporters section is the cheapest ticket you can get. If you look on Instagram, on our accounts, Twitters, we should have links to discounted tickets as well. I think you can get $17.50 tickets for the supporter section using our links. It's always trying to be as accessible as we can be, and just come on by, show up, help out. We'll hand you some flags, we'll hand you some smoke bombs, we'll introduce ourselves, and it just goes from there. It's just if you want to come, it's membership is based not on fees or things like that. Membership is based on if you
There's
actually
no
want to come
membership.
and do stuff with us. If you're
There's no
going to do
membership.
stuff and you're going to help out in the section, put up flags, take down flags, sing with us, then you're a member, right? If
It's the
you're not
yeah,
interested
bro.
in that, there's plenty of other sections to still keep on enjoying your local club, and it's just a matter of coming on by. You can always
So
come on by.
it's the
Everyone's
section.
welcome.
It's the section 800, right? So it's the
Yep, section 800.
front part of section 800. So we're the ones that with the drums, we're the ones having fun, we're the one with the smokes and the flags, and we sharing is caring and all that. We give out all the stuff to whatever. A lot of the youth clubs that
Mhm.
come as mascots for halftime, they like to come by our section after they do the mascot stuff at halftime, right? So it's always like a lot of kids around, whatever. So we keep it chill and whatever too, right? So that's that for the actual stadium. And if you want to get involved with us, like beyond the stadium, like on the internet and stuff like that, I believe the York United website, if you look around it, there should be a section for supporter groups, and they'll have the link for our Instagram and our Twitter for Northern Quarter and Center of the Universe. So that's the two names of the two groups, right? It's just accounts, whatever, right? So Instagram and Twitter, we're active there. But for the guys that really want to, you want to take York United beyond that, we have Facebook group chats as well. So just ask anybody in the stands about that if you'd like to join in on that. Otherwise, we're active on the CPL Discord. That's a big one. That's a big community. There's CPL Reddit, there's CPL Facebook groups, and there's dudes on Twitter talking about CPL. So we're anywhere that you can find us, man. We just want to talk York United anytime we get.
Wonderful.
NCSGYU on Twitter, COTW or COTU_SG, I think is the other handle. So you can hit us up there.
Thanks for letting us advertise, Josh. I really appreciate that.
Of course. No, that is what this is all
Being
about.
invited to a podcast about being a soccer hooligan was not what I was expecting to do in the fall of 2024. So
that's your career path. You didn't know?
That 100%. That is literally the description of what the show is. That's what Nick and I talked about when we said, what do we want to do? What are we going to do here?
And that's the next generation of York United Ultras right there. You see him?
Oh, I love it. Guys, thank you so very, very much. It really has been a pleasure. Again, Namu and Karlis from Northern Corridor and Center of the Universe Supporters Group at York United. Looking forward to seeing you guys at the game on Thursday. It's going to be a big one.
That's right. That's right.
Yes,
Come
sir.
out for the Player of the Year award ceremonies. Hey, what do we say? York United?
Wonderful.
Cheers, guys.
So, thank you for having us.
Thank you
It's a
so
pleasure.
much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Bye, Katie.